We all know as jazz musicians that we have to play the long game if we're ever going to get better. But once in a while, a shortcut comes along that we latch onto, and we can use that to better our playing almost instantly. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to show you one chord that could literally change everything. And the chord that I'm going to show you is this one. Chordy says it's a B flat major 7 flat 5 chord over E. Well, it is and it isn't. But I can show you how to use that chord in multiple situations. In this video, we're going to use it mostly in our left hand as comping. We're going to be working on the tune Stella by Starlight, which it fits into this tune almost perfectly. I really want you to stick around to the end because I'm going to play one chorus of solo using that chord in multiple places. Let's take a look at the chord in more detail. It's 4 notes. And while Chordy says it's a B flat major 7 flat 5 chord, where is it actually getting that from? Well, if you take the bottom 2 notes, which is the E and the A, and you move them up to the top, and you change one note, change the E to F, you get a major 7th chord. And you lower it a half step, you get a B flat major 7 flat 5 chord. So this chord is useful for that type of chord, although we don't see major 7 flat 5 chords very often. But here are the 2 voicings. This one, root position, and this one, second inversion. Now let's take a look at the chord itself. What's it actually made up of? What makes it sound really good, first of all, is that it's voiced in fourths. If you remove the B flat, you have this chord, voiced in fourths. That's a cool sounding chord. If you put the flat 5 in there, considering that E is the root, now you have a minor second that's added to it as well. So fourths plus a minor second. And the other thing that this chord has, which is the really important part, and that is it has a tritone. In this case, if it were a C7 chord, it contains this tritone, the 3rd and the flat 7. Now that's where it becomes infinitely useful because we're all familiar with tritone substitution. So wherever that tritone exists, you can use this chord voicing, and that's the trick. So one more time, anytime you see this tritone, and of course, we're talking about any tritone, not just that one tritone. This tritone, this one. Anytime you see a tritone, you can use it in every single one of these situations. The first situation that we're going to discover in the tune Stella by Starlight is we can use it on the very first chord, because the first chord is an E half diminished 7th chord. So it contains this tritone. And of course, if we put E half diminished 7th or E minor 7 flat 5, you get the G and the D. And all we're doing is exchanging the G out for the A. It's a better sound. And you can play your E flat half diminished 7th chord right over top of that if you want to solo. Sounds great, right? Okay, so that's the first instance. You can use it on minor 7 flat 5 chords or half diminished 7th chords, same chord. Okay, now if we use the inversion, still the same thing. It's still an E half diminished 7th chord. It's just second inversion. Okay, now the other use for that chord is we're going to find it in the very next chord, which is the A7 flat 9 chord. So of course that contains a tritone, so that means we can use this same voicing. The notes have changed because we've changed the chord and the tritone has changed. So we've gone from this tritone to this one, but it's exactly the same voicing. We're not playing the flat 9, which is here. We're substituting it for the sharp 9, which is here, plus this note, which is the flat 13 of A7. So if we do this, A7, sharp 9, sharp 5, or flat 13. Very cool, right? So same chord used in 2 different situations. The first one, a minor 7 flat 5 chord, and the second one, a 7th chord with a flat 9. And also don't forget that you can use the second inversion of that A7 chord, just like this. And you might be asking yourself, well, why don't we use the first inversion and the third inversion? Why do we just use the root and the second inversion? And the answer is you don't want to confuse things too much. If we use the first inversion, it would be this. And it doesn't sound that great because now the fourths have disappeared. Whereas if you did the second inversion, the fourths reappear in that chord. There's your force, add that one note. So this chord, root, or this chord, second inversion. And those are the only two inversions we're going to use. That makes things a lot simpler. Okay, let's play the melody. Change the chord. Same chord, just different root. And then we get to another seventh chord, which is the F7 chord. We're talking about this one right here. Take a look at the left-hand voicing. There's our force, those three notes, and then this note over here, that's the extra note. The other inversion of that is take the bottom two notes, move them to the top. Same chord, over F. Starting to get it? This chord is incredibly useful. Another really interesting thing about this chord is if you plunk down a minor seventh chord before the dominant seventh chord, in this case, we're on the second line of Stella by Starlight, you get this F minor seventh chord, voiced like this, of course, over F. It's now an F minor 9 chord. If you just change one note, which is this lower note, the E flat to a D, we're back to the same chord again. A flat major 7, flat 5, but we know it as a different name. For example, we put this over B flat, it's now a B flat 9, 13 chord. What's the inversion of that? Take the bottom two notes, move them to the top. So we can use this one or this one. Try not to get too muddy, you get too low on the keyboard. You want to move things up a little bit. That's why we have two different inversions. Okay, then we move on, we get to A flat 7, same thing. There's our tritone. And then we add these two notes. We get an A flat 9, 13 chord. Here's the other inversion. Let's move down to the next line, to B flat major 7. Here we are, we've had this chord before. E half diminished 7th, A7 flat 9, to D minor 7, and then B minor 7, change one note. There's our voicing again, over E flat. So it's a 2-5 of A flat. Then we get to the F major 7th chord. We recognize those chords, don't we? And then now we're doing a 2-5 in G minor. Same voicings. There's that chord in root position, and there it is in second inversion over the D7. There's our tritone, right? D7 tritone. Add those two notes, you get a D7 sharp 9 sharp 5 chord. Got it? If I were to put that over A flat, which is the tritone substitution of D7, of course, we get an A flat 9, 13 chord instead of a D7 sharp 9 sharp 5 chord. So it's interchangeable for both of those chords. We're here, A half diminished 7th to D7 flat 9. Now we're in the bridge. It's a G7 sharp 5 chord. You could really use a voicing like that here, but it sounds better like this, so we're not going to do it. C minor 7. We've had this chord before. There it is again. You can use this inversion or this one. If you wanted to, this one sounds a little bit better. And now we're on to the last 8 bars of the tune, which we've got some repeats going on here. E half diminished 7, A7 flat 9. Now we have it a 2-5-1 in C minor, same chord for the D half diminished 7. Right? There's our root and tritone. There's the two added notes. And then we're going to G7 flat 9. Here we are again on this C half diminished 7th to F7 flat 9. So from here to here. Really cool. Check that out, the last 8 bars. Now, some of those chords may have sounded a little bit harsh to your ears, but you're not going to be playing those chords as whole notes. What we are going to do is come up with some different comping rhythms when we're playing a solo or when we're playing the heavy. All right, I'm gonna run to the grand piano. I'm gonna play one chorus of solo. It's gonna sound a little bit better on the grand piano than here at the keyboard. I'm gonna use the same voicing that we've been talking about in multiple places during Stella by Starlight. And then as soon as we get back, I'm gonna post a link to this sheet music. It's absolutely free to download it, and you can learn this one voicing and use it in several different places. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that solo. You may have noticed a few things. First of all, I did use the voicing that we've been talking about several times, the exact same one that we've been showing you in this tutorial. I also played different types of rhythms in the left hand when I was comping. So you want to combine those two things, the chord itself plus different types of rhythms. It's just such a rich chord, and when you use those rhythms, it just ends up sounding great. As promised, let me put a link to the sheet music. You can study the chords. Just go and download that. It's absolutely free to do so. If you wouldn't mind, just reach down, click the little thumbs up button. It really helps us here at the channel. If you want to subscribe, we'd love to have you. When I was playing the solo, there was a lot of syncopation in the left hand. And if you don't know what that is and you want to learn more about how to syncopate your left hand voicings and even your right hand soloing, I did a video recently that's quite popular with people. I'm going to post a link to that video right here.